a good audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
As a youngster, Elvis often told his parents that one day he'd make a lot of money, buy them a fine home, and put an end to their financial struggles. The purchase of Graceland in 1957 made good that promise and became an important symbol to him of the dreams he'd achieved. Elvis loved Graceland and enjoyed showing his guests around the mansion and grounds. When Graceland was opened to the public in 1982, it was imagined that Elvis would have been pleased with the opportunity to share Graceland with the world. Elvis Presley's Graceland. Welcome to your private tour. Graceland was built in 1939 by Dr. and Mrs. Thomas Moore. The land, once part of a large farm, had been in Mrs. Moore's family for generations and had long been named Graceland after Mrs. Moore's great-aunt, Grace Toof. Graceland was Elvis's very private corner of his otherwise very public world. His mark on this place is indelible, and all of us, fan and casual visitor alike, can sense his presence here. Elvis was a gracious host who proudly welcomed visiting friends to his home. Now that Graceland is open for public tours, the rooms shown are those Elvis shared with his guests. The upper floor, which contains his private master suite, has never been part of the public tour. The living room is where Elvis met his special guests. You would wait here, probably seated on this elegant 15-foot sofa, for him to make his entrance. Both the sofa and the 10-foot coffee table were custom made for this room. The blue, gold, and white color scheme, the decorations and accents are classic 1950s and 60s style. Elvis redecorated and changed Graceland many times in the 20 years he lived here. He added the wall mirrors in the 1970s, an elegant touch that also made the rooms appear more spacious. The stained glass peacocks were designed and installed for Elvis by a local company in 1974. This photo of Elvis was taken in 1957 when he was 22, around the time he purchased Graceland. The photo of his parents, Vernon and Gladys, was taken not long before. Vernon gave this portrait of himself to Elvis as a Christmas gift in 1976. Nearly everything that you'll see in the house, furnishings, draperies, accessories, are original. Replacements are made only as absolutely necessary. This photo of Elvis and his parents was taken in the living room at Graceland shortly after Elvis was inducted into the United States Army in March of 1958. His long hair and sideburns were shorn and he was issued the standard Army outfit, green fatigues. Private Presley, 2nd Armored Division, Fort Hood, Texas. That same year, Elvis's mother Gladys was admitted to a Memphis hospital with acute hepatitis. Given emergency leave, Elvis rushed home to be with his beloved mother. Gladys Presley died on August 14, 1958. Elvis was devastated. Just a short time later, Elvis sailed for Germany, where he would be stationed for the next 18 months. Although not the usual sort of recruit, Elvis was a regular soldier and took his duties seriously. He neither expected nor received special treatment. In Germany, Elvis met Priscilla, the beautiful and charming daughter of Air Force Captain Joseph Beaulieu. They spent a lot of time together until Elvis was discharged and returned to Memphis and Graceland. Although formal in its appearance, the living room at Graceland was also a place for Elvis and his guests to gather casually, often for impromptu jam sessions. Elvis loved music. It was more than a career for him. It was a big part of his life. These rooms became the musical center of Graceland. When Elvis had the urge to sing, he would come here to the music room and start playing the piano. Anybody who was here, family, friends, band members, would end up singing along with him. They'd spend hours and hours jamming around the piano, singing, joking, and laughing. Elvis would sing all kinds of songs, but almost always ended up singing gospel. The 3 Grammy Awards he received from the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences were for his gospel music. One for the album He Touched Me, and the others for 2 separate recordings of How Great Thou Art. Elvis had 3 different pianos here in the music room. First, for many years, a white baby grand, then a gold leaf grand piano, and finally, his ebony Story and Clark. The mirror in the music room moved to Graceland with the Presley family in 1957. It came off the wall of their previous home in Memphis. The formal dining room at Graceland was the scene for the evening meal, usually served around 9 or 10 o'clock. Gathered around this table would be Elvis's family and friends. Elvis always sat here, at this end of the table. From this spot he could lead the dinner conversation. He regularly served as host to a group of 10 or 12. The inner circle of friends, sometimes called the Memphis Mafia, was made up of old friends and relatives of Elvis, who also functioned as his personal staff and entourage. Lots of stories and laughter were shared around this table. The portrait of Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie, and her mother Priscilla was taken in 1970 when Lisa Marie was 2 years old. At the center of the room is an Italian glass chandelier, just like the one in the stairway, only smaller. These, as well as the one in the foyer, were purchased by Elvis for Graceland in 1974. Elvis loved Christmas, and Graceland was the perfect place to celebrate in grand style, just the way Elvis liked it. From just after Thanksgiving through January 8, Elvis's birthday, Graceland was transformed by Christmas decorations. It still is today. Outside, there are hundreds of blue lights along the driveway, the life-size nativity scene, and Elvis's special Christmas greeting to his fans. Inside Graceland, the original red holiday draperies hang in the front rooms, showing off elaborately decorated trees. Christmas 1968 was more special than usual. It was Lisa Marie's first. Her grandfather Vernon dressed as a jovial Santa Claus for the Christmas festivities held here in the dining room. At Christmas time, and all the time, the kitchen was filled with activity. Elvis was a night person, usually getting up for breakfast around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But with so many people always around, coming and going at all hours, Elvis's cooks were kept busy round the clock. The kitchen looks today just as it did after Elvis last remodeled in the mid-70s. These monitors and others in Elvis's bedroom allowed Elvis, his entourage, and staff to see what was going on all over the mansion and grounds. When Elvis bought Graceland in 1957, this was just a plain basement. He soon transformed it into a cozy place for informal entertaining. This is the TV room, and its focal point is the bank of television sets. These were installed after Elvis heard that then President Johnson watched all 3 network news shows at the same time. Above the TVs is a pull-down movie screen. Elvis enjoyed watching his home movies as well as feature films. The built-in jukebox holds 100 records. Musical selections could be heard all over the house through speakers in each room. The bar, along with everything else in this room, was part of a professional redecoration Elvis commissioned for the basement rooms in 1974. The lightning bolt is part of Elvis's personal logo. TCB with a lightning bolt, taking care of business in a flash. This logo was incorporated into jewelry, including his famous TCB ring with 16 carats of diamonds. The TCB logo is also found on the tail of Elvis's airplanes, the Hound Dog II and the Lisa Marie. The Lisa Marie, named after Elvis's daughter. Formerly a 96-passenger commercial jet, it was purchased in 1975 for around $250,000. Elvis then spent about 3 times that much having it completely customized. Elvis often referred to it as his Flying Graceland. Elvis used the Lisa Marie jet from November 1975 to August 1977. The Lisa Marie was prepared to depart from Memphis on August 16th for another concert tour, but Elvis didn't live to make that flight. Elvis's father sold the airplanes in 1978. In 1984, by special arrangement, both airplanes were brought home to Memphis to become part of the Graceland tour. The Lisa Marie made a grand return that Elvis surely would have been proud of. The pool room was another gathering place for Elvis and his buddies. Elvis liked the game. His favorites were 8-ball and rotation. As with all of his interests and hobbies, Elvis was competitive and liked to win. The current look of the pool room is also part of Elvis's redecoration of the basement rooms. It was then that the ceiling and walls were covered with this colorful cotton fabric, about 400 yards of it. It took 3 workmen 10 days to cut, piece, hang, and pleat it. This pool table is one of the oldest pieces of furniture in the house. The tear in the felt is a result of an unsuccessful trick shot on the part of one of the guys. Lisa Marie also liked to play down here with her cousins and friends. The broken corner in the Tiffany-style lamp was caused by a tossed pool ball during one of those spirited play sessions. The last room we'll visit in the mansion proper is the den, now called the Jungle Room. Elvis added the den onto the house in the mid-60s. Many stories are told about the Jungle Room. One story has it that when the waterfall was being built, the designer curtained off this end of the room with Elvis agreeing not to peek until the work was complete. Elvis loved surprises and was really pleased when the waterfall was finally unveiled in a small ceremony. Another story is about when, in the mid-70s, Elvis replaced all the typical family room-style furniture with what you see here today, a decorating fad of the time. Elvis reportedly picked it all out in a 30-minute shopping spree at a local store. The large chair in the corner was too big to move into the room by traditional means, and so it came in through the window. That chair became one of young Lisa Marie's favorite napping spots. The green shag on the floor and ceiling was another 70s decorating fad. It also did a good job absorbing sound. In 1976, Elvis chose to hold some recording sessions at home. In this room, he recorded the album From Elvis Presley Boulevard to Memphis, Tennessee, and over half of his last album, Moody Blue. The backyard at Graceland was where Elvis and his family and friends relaxed and played. It was the scene of football games, fireworks battles, and golf cart races. At the far end of the lawn is the carport, where Elvis kept his many cars, motorcycles, and motorized toys. Today, you can see a wonderful collection of them in the Elvis Presley Automobile Museum, across the street in the Graceland Plaza. The Automobile Museum is a nostalgic trip along a winding highway filled with cars and vehicles Elvis owned and enjoyed. Elvis was often photographed in his 1956 Continental Mark II. In the 60s, Priscilla used it to drive to school. The white 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL Roadster was a gift to Priscilla from Elvis for Christmas of 1970. It was a personal favorite of hers and was sent from her home in California for permanent display here in 1989. Elvis's 1955 pink Cadillac is perhaps the most famous car in the world, a symbol of the spirit of the 1950s and of rock and roll itself. It was his mother Gladys's favorite, even though she didn't drive. Elvis drove this 1973 Stutz Blackhawk during the last years of his life. It has a red leather interior with gold-plated accents throughout. The last time he drove through the gates of Graceland, he was behind the wheel of this car. Elvis had a fleet of golf carts, go-karts, grass-converted snowmobiles, and other motorized toys. He and his buddies drove all over the grounds of Graceland, the landscaping often coming in a poor second to their races. Elvis idolized James Dean and Marlon Brando, both of whom popularized motorcycles in a rebel style. Elvis loved motorcycles and owned many of them through the years. Just down the road from the motorcycles is the Highway 51 drive-in. You can sit in authentic 57 Chevy seats and watch an Elvis movie. According to legend, Elvis was snubbed by a salesman when looking at this 56 Cadillac convertible. Leaving in a huff, he encountered an elderly man washing cars out on the lot. Returning to the showroom with the old man, Elvis asked for the manager. He announced that he would purchase the car, and the sales commission was to go to his new friend from the lot. Elvis gave Lisa Marie this Harley-Davidson golf cart for Christmas in 1976, their last together. She loved to ride around Graceland with her friends. Next to the carport is the original household business office. Whoever came on the grounds to fix, build, or deliver something checked in here first. Elvis's father, Vernon, and the secretaries handled all the household and personal bills. In contrast to his son's carefree spending, this Spartan office reflects Vernon's reputation for being tight with a dollar. This is also where much of Elvis's fan mail was delivered. Throughout his career, Elvis's fans sent him special gifts and mementos from around the world, and he kept most of them. This wall in the trophy room, dedicated to his fans, displays a small selection of them. Some even sent portraits. The large life-size painting in gold and white was commissioned by Elvis himself from celebrated artist Ralph Wolf Cowan. After Elvis was discharged from the Army, he arrived in Memphis by train. The next day, March 8, 1960, he came out to this office for a press conference. He sat at his father's desk.
Ready to go?
Ready. Ready when you are. I'm always ready.
Now that you are back, as you look back on your 2 years in the service, what was the most important thing that happened to you during your 2 years, whether it was overseas or here in the States?
Well, there were a number of things that happened. I had quite a few interesting experiences. Slept out in the snow, HC rations, all the regular thing. But I suppose the biggest thing of all is the fact that I did make it. I made it just like everybody. I mean, I tried to play it straight, like everybody else. And I made a lot of friends that I never would have made otherwise. And all in all, it's been a pretty good experience,
How about any romance? Did you leave any heart, shall we say, in Germany?
Not any special one. There was a little girl that I was seeing quite often over there. That her father was in the Air Force, and actually they only got over there about 2 months before I left. I was seeing her, and she was at the airport when I left, and there were some pictures made of her, but it was no big romance. I mean, the stories came out, the girl he left behind, and, and all that. It wasn't like that. I mean, I have to be careful when I answer a question.
You said that at the train that you wanted to get back to what you were doing, and of course that is singing and entertaining. And I take it from that you really enjoy what you're doing, or what you were doing before you went to service.
Oh, yes, I do. In fact, that was the hardest part of the entire military service, is being away from it.
Being away from the fans.
Just being away from show business altogether. That was the hardest part of all.
Are you going to keep Graceland? Do you have plans of moving away from Memphis? Or what?
No, sir, I have no plans for leaving Memphis.
And you're going to keep Graceland?
I'm going to keep Graceland as long as I possibly can.
We go next through a storage area. There was a short time in the 1960s that Elvis converted it into a makeshift firing range. Target shooting was another of Elvis's many hobbies. Elvis's interest in collecting badges and guns was well known. An exhibit of part of his collection is displayed in the trophy room. Leaving the storage room, we'll walk over by the pasture. Elvis gave Priscilla a horse as a surprise for her birthday in 1966. Before long, in typical Elvis fashion, he bought horses for himself, all his buddies, and their wives. Elvis enjoyed riding a classy Tennessee walker he called Bear. But his favorite was Rising Sun, a golden Palomino. Elvis would ride down to the front gate, sometimes dressed up in Western gear, to sign autographs and visit with his fans. The connection Elvis shared with his audience was his greatest love affair, and in spirit it continues undiminished to this day. The Palomino now at Graceland is a distant relative of Rising Sun. He was brought here by the Graceland staff, who believed there should always be a golden Palomino in the Graceland pasture. Elvis took up racquetball in 1975 and soon built his own facility at Graceland, a two-story, 2,400-square-foot structure. Downstairs and on the regular Graceland tour is a two-level lounge where Elvis and his buddies could work out, play pinball, or comfortably watch games in progress. Racquetball provided Elvis and his friends with countless hours of enjoyment. Not seen on the public tours is the upstairs of the racquetball building. Elvis's private suite consists of a lounge, a large dressing room, and a luxurious bathroom. The bathroom features a jacuzzi whirlpool spa. There is also a steam shower with 5 gold-plated shower heads. Over here are dressing room and shower facilities for Elvis's guests. When Elvis bought Graceland in 1957, he thought one of the first things the house needed was a swimming pool and a patio on the south side of the house. The patio by the pool was later enclosed. Elvis eventually turned this area into a trophy room and storage area for his ever-growing collection of awards and career mementos. It's now a museum celebrating Elvis's life and career. Elvis Aaron Presley was born on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi. His twin brother Jesse Guerin was stillborn. Elvis grew up as an only child, the center of his parents' lives. Music was a passion for him from early childhood. Shortly before Elvis turned 14, the Presleys moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and Elvis graduated from Humes High School. In 1953, he paid $4 to make a demo record at the Memphis Recording Service, the home of the Sun Records label. A year later, Sun Records owner Sam Phillips, recognizing Elvis's unique sound, opened the first real door of opportunity for him. Elvis, along with bass player Bill Black and lead guitarist Scotty Moore, recorded That's All Right. It was Elvis's first Sun single and his first hit. In the fall of 1955, Elvis signed with a new manager, Colonel Tom Parker, and his recording contract was purchased by RCA. Elvis's genius as an artist was well matched to Parker's genius as a promoter. Their collaboration would make history. His first RCA single, Heartbreak Hotel, and his first album went to #1 on the pop charts and became Elvis's first million-selling records. Don't Be Cruel and its flip side, Hound Dog, sold so many records so quickly that Elvis was presented 5 gold records at once. It's said that Elvis and the Colonel were the first to exploit the real power of the still new medium of television. The stir Elvis was causing as he toured the country soon became a storm as he erupted into America's living rooms. 6 weeks in a row on the Dorsey Brothers stage show, 2 appearances on the Milton Berle Show, 1 on Steve Allen, and then the unforgettable Ed Sullivan Show appearances. A 3-appearance deal was worked out with Ed Sullivan. Elvis was paid $50,000, the highest amount ever paid to a performer on a variety show up to that time. As Elvis traveled around the country, the crowds got bigger and wilder, his popularity growing quickly and dramatically. Elvis returned to Tupelo in '56, a hometown hero in a big concert event. A year later, as a charity benefit, he performed in Tupelo again, wearing part of his famous gold lame suit. This suit, worn in many concerts during the next few years, came to signify both Elvis and rock and roll. Elvis's fame and overwhelming popularity did not go unnoticed by Hollywood. Screen-tested, signed, and scripted, Elvis began work on Love Me Tender, the first of his 31 films as an actor. It became a smash hit and was quickly followed by Loving You, Jailhouse Rock, and King Creole. These last two considered to be Elvis's best. Elvis's recording career soared. He won many awards for his music, 14 Grammy nominations and 3 Grammy Awards. The Lifetime Achievement Award was presented to Elvis by the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences in 1971, when Elvis was only 36 years old. But the Hall of Gold tells the real story. Elvis had no less than 149 songs appear on Billboard's pop chart and over 90 charted albums. Elvis was also a leading artist in country, R&B, and gospel. Record after record went gold, platinum, and multi-platinum. To date, at least 111 different albums and singles have that distinction in America alone. It's estimated that Elvis has sold more than 1 billion records worldwide, more than anyone in the history of recorded music. The awards and recognition for his work have not stopped. In 1988, Elvis's recording of Hound Dog was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Heartbreak Hotel followed in 1995. Elvis was one of the initial 10 acts to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in their first ceremony. The American Music Awards made the first posthumous presentation of its highest honor, the Award of Merit, to Elvis in 1987. In 1992, a special ceremony was held in the Racquetball Building. RCA and the Recording Industry Association of America presented to the Presley estate a wall of gold and platinum awards. They represent Elvis's entire American sales achievement from the beginning of his career to the present. RCA also presented the imposing 9-foot-tall glass sculpture to commemorate the 15th anniversary of Elvis's death and to recognize him as the greatest recording artist of all time. These awards are displayed on the racquetball court. Elvis performed his way out of poverty, but he never forgot what it was like to do without. The large plaque at the end of the hall was presented to Elvis on behalf of many of the Memphis area charities which he regularly supported. This exhibit contains just some of the proclamations and certificates of appreciation which Elvis received in recognition of his generosity, but most of his efforts by his own choice went unheralded. In 1961, Elvis performed a benefit concert in Hawaii, raising over $65,000 towards the building of the USS Arizona Memorial, commemorating the lives lost in the World War II bombing of Pearl Harbor. Elvis's concert provided the largest single donation as well as media attention that would help organizers raise the rest of the funds needed to complete the project a year later. Elvis was proud of his involvement and enjoyed visiting the memorial. When Elvis returned from the Army, he was worried that his fans might have forgotten him, that this would be the end of his dream. In show business, 2 years away from one's audience is like an eternity. He needn't have worried. He soon went back to the recording studio, producing new #1 singles, and he returned to television with a Welcome Home special hosted by Frank Sinatra. Elvis also returned to film. G.I. Blues was a box office champ that year, and the soundtrack album was his biggest hit ever. Blue Hawaii was even more successful. Songs, girls, a fight or two, and a lot of close shots of a romantic Elvis. His films were all financially successful, but left Elvis creatively dissatisfied. As he became increasingly restless with his career, his personal life took a happy upswing. After a 7-year courtship, Elvis and Priscilla were married in Las Vegas on May 1st, 1967. On February 1st, 1968, their daughter, Lisa Marie, was born. Elvis adored his baby daughter and was the perfect proud father. In the summer of 1968, Elvis taped a television special to be aired in December. The show was called simply Elvis, but it came to be known as the 68 Comeback Special, regarded as one of the finest music specials in rock history.
I think I'll put a strap on this and stand up. No strap for you. Here's what I'm now looking for. The things I did and I saw would make the dreamer. Where's the strap?
In 1969, Elvis experienced renewed vigor as a recording artist, producing new classics like Suspicious Minds and In the Ghetto. That summer, Elvis played a triumphant month-long engagement at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. This gold belt was presented to Elvis for breaking all Las Vegas attendance records. Elvis returned to Las Vegas in 1970 and broke his own record. This was followed by 6 shows at the Houston Astrodome, shattering another attendance record. That summer, during Elvis's 3rd engagement at the International, MGM was on hand to film a concert documentary, Elvis, That's the Way It Is. In 1970, Elvis was deeply honored to be named one of the 10 outstanding young men of the nation by the United States Jaycees. This award recognized him not only for his career achievements, but also for his public service, his leadership, and his generosity.
When I was a child, ladies and gentlemen, I was a dreamer. I read comic books and I was the hero of the comic book. I saw movies and I was the hero in the movie. So every dream that I ever dreamed has come true 100 times. I learned very early in life that without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, a man ain't got a friend. Without a song, the road would never bend. Without a song. So I'll keep singing the song. Good night.
In 1972, Elvis had 4 sold-out shows in a row at New York's Madison Square Garden, another record breaker. Later that year, MGM released Elvis on Tour, a Golden Globe award-winning documentary about Elvis's career. The constant touring exacted a price, and that was his marriage. Elvis and Priscilla had separated. They divorced the following year. However, their friendship and their partnership as parents remained strong. Elvis's shows were filled with glamour, energy, and a crackling excitement.
I'm pretty much thinking about the show. I never get completely comfortable with it. And I don't let the people with me get comfortable with it. And that I remind them that it's a new crowd out there. It's a new audience. They haven't seen us before. So it's got to be like the first time we go on.
Elvis's costumes became more and more spectacular. Bill Ballou and his associates designed virtually all of Elvis's stage wardrobe from the 1968 TV special on. The simple karate-style suits of 1969 gave way to the one-piece jumpsuits of the 70s, flashier and flashier. For his 1973 television special, Elvis Aloha from Hawaii, via satellite, Elvis wanted a look that would symbolize America to the audiences around the world. The American Eagle jumpsuit was Ballou's answer. Aloha from Hawaii was seen in 40 countries by approximately 1.5 billion people. The concert album topped the Billboard Pop chart. It was a historical milestone, the peak of Elvis's career.
I'd like to sing it especially for you.
Thank you. You're a good audience. Thank you very much.
In the years to follow, Elvis maintained his success as a concert performer and recording artist. His costumes continued their flamboyant evolution. Elvis wore the Aztec Sun jumpsuit in many performances during 1977, including his last on June 26 at Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. Earlier on that tour, footage was shot for Elvis in Concert, a TV special that would air that fall, shortly after his death. Health problems, long-term prescription drug dependency, and the unique pressures of superhuman expectations placed upon an all-too-human life took a visible, heartbreaking toll on Elvis in his final years. Still, he never lost his ability to reach people with his voice or with his heart. Early in the morning of August 16, 1977, Elvis and some friends played a little racquetball. Elvis sat at the piano and sang. After sunrise, Elvis returned to the mansion to rest before departing on his next round of concert dates. He died there a few hours later of heart failure. An amazing life of 42 years came to a tragic end. Fans and the public at large were stunned by the news. Elvis built the meditation garden as a place to be alone, to think. He's not known to have expressed an intention to be buried here. However, in October of 1977, his father Vernon had the bodies of Elvis and his mother Gladys moved from the nearby cemetery to Graceland. In 1979, Vernon was laid to rest between his wife and son. A year later, Elvis's paternal grandmother, Minnie Mae Presley, was buried to the left of Elvis's grave. Elvis dreamed the American dream of fame and fortune, and Graceland was a symbol of the dreams he'd achieved. He left an immeasurable legacy in his music and in his influence on the course of 20th century popular culture. He is timeless, his place in history permanent. His life and art touch each new generation. Elvis's achievements surpassed his childhood dreams. His triumphs give us a reason to believe in our own dreams.
You're a good audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.